What is something that isn't automatic? I am not eating here, we need to leave at a restaurant. But first subscribe to my channel.
Okay, so I have to tell you about the weirdest thing that happened to me at this restaurant last week. I swear, it was like something out of a bizarre dream or a comedy show. It all started when I walked into this small, local diner. You know, the kind that looks like it hasn't been renovated since the 80s, cheap vinyl booths, faux wood paneling, and that one jukebox in the corner that only plays old rock songs. The food's usually pretty good, so I didn't think much of it. I was actually meeting a friend there, but when I arrived, she wasn't there yet. So I sat down at one of the booths by myself. The place wasn't crowded, but there were a few tables with people. I looked around, kinda checking out the menu when this woman walks up to me. Now, I'm not saying she was weird looking, but there was something off about her energy. She had this huge, wild, curly hair that was kind of like a mad scientist vibe, and she was wearing an apron that had a bunch of grease stains on it. Okay, no big deal, right? But she's smiling at me like she knows me or something, which felt a little odd. Like a smile that lingered for too long, you know? Anyway, she starts talking to me, and it was just not a normal conversation. First thing she says, "What's your soul craving today?" I'm like, what? And she just stares at me like she's waiting for an answer. I was super confused. Like, I was just planning on getting a regular sandwich, maybe some fries, but I didn't know my soul was supposed to crave something. I felt like I was on the spot, so I just said, a turkey club, I guess. And she's like, the turkey club. A classic choice. But is it what your soul really wants? Think about it. Is there something deeper? I could not make this up. She was literally asking me to connect with my inner self over lunch. So I just kind of laughed nervously, like, okay, this is a bit much, and I told her I'd just stick with the club. She nodded, like she understood me, but then she squinted at me and said, "Are you sure? The universe is asking for more. Trust your gut." By this point, I was feeling like I might be on some hidden camera show or in a weird indie movie. I didn't know whether to laugh or just run, but I told her, yeah, I'm sure. The club sounds perfect. She scribbled something down on her notepad and said, "You'll be receiving a special gift along with your meal. Don't worry, it's not on the menu. You'll know when it comes." Okay, so at this point, I was just trying to keep it together. I'm thinking, what the heck does that even mean? But she walked away, and I was just left sitting there trying to process what just happened. A few minutes later, she came back with my food, and, no joke, she handed me a small potted plant on the side, just plopped it down on the table next to my plate. Like, what? She looks at me seriously and says, "This is for you. It's a reminder that life is blooming, even when you don't see it." Then she walks away, leaving me sitting there with a random plant, totally dumbfounded. The plant was a small succulent, and honestly, I have no idea why, but I didn't even think to ask her about it. I was just like, okay, this is my life now. I ate my sandwich in complete silence, just staring at the plant, wondering if I'd somehow signed up for a spiritual awakening without realizing it. The best part? When my friend finally showed up, she sat down and immediately said, "Whoa, where did you get that plant? Like, how is it that noticeable?" Apparently, the waitress had handed one to every table. No explanation. Just random plants on the side. We didn't stick around long after that. But to this day, I have that plant on my windowsill. And sometimes, when I look at it, I wonder if it's actually a metaphor for something in my life. Maybe it's a reminder that sometimes things don't make sense, and that's okay. Or maybe I just got pranked by a very dedicated waitress who took her job a little too seriously. Either way, it was the weirdest restaurant experience I've ever had.